There we go. There's that lovely voice, recording in progress. Okay, so hi guys. Thank you very much for joining me tonight for the skincare booster training. I'm really excited to do this one actually, and it's a really lovely sort of capsule training. I'm just literally going to be concentrating on the 3 products. It is a brand new skincare category for us, a brand new range. These 3 products, I've got them here, are basically a category all unto themselves, which is really, really quite special. So not only have we launched 3 new products, we have effectively launched a new range. So yeah, really excited. For those of us that were at conference on Saturday, there was a real buzz when these were launched. I was lucky enough to have sort of got my hands on them, as it were, a week earlier at a leaders meeting in Birmingham at the beginning of March. And honestly, I have to say, from a Neal's Yard dinosaur like me, as I've just said, I have been with Neal's Yard Remedies for 10 years. I'm also a beauty therapist, qualified beauty therapist, and have been for about 100 years. These products really sing to me. They really, really stand out. And there's been some incredible product launches in the 10 years I've been with the company, but rarely I am as excited as I am about these. There's been some beautiful products, don't get me wrong, and some I have been excited about. We've even had this is not even the first product launch we've had this year, is it? We've had our lovely Women's Balance Balm launch in February, but it is rare that I am as excited as I am about these 3 superstars. So without further ado, I've made some notes because I want to make sure a lot of it's up here, but I don't want to give anybody any wrong information. I want to make sure you guys have got all the information you need so that you can confidently talk about these products with your customers and with your clients. So I'm aware there's quite a few therapists on here tonight. Please make sure you have a pen and paper, because you will definitely need a pen and paper, because I'm going to be giving you quite a lot of information. Now, those of you that have got the the conference recordings, there is quite a lot about the boosters in those recordings, as I'm sure you will appreciate, and you'll know for those of you that were there. But I'm sort of going to be putting my own spin on it tonight, and I'm also going to be giving a bit of a therapist angle as well, because we do have quite a lot of therapists here with us tonight. There will be a lot of therapists watching on catch up on the recording, and I'm a therapist myself. So I wanted to kind of give a bit of a therapist angle to that. Hayley, could I be a real pain, my darling? Could I ask you to turn your camera off, only that it's flashing green? Hayley Timms, if you could just turn your camera off, if that's possible. Thank you, my darling. I'm so sorry. It was flashing green right in my eye. Thank you. Sorry to be awkward. Just admitting a few more people. Hi, guys. Okay. So as I've said, it is a new innovative product range all unto itself. And it's very much sort of helping us keep in line with other high-end beauty brands. Obviously, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, we have a lot of competition in the marketplace. We are probably the biggest certified organic brand, but we do have some real strong competition in the marketplace worldwide. And we really do need to keep abreast of current trends and what the consumers want, as of course you will appreciate. I have to say, as a therapist, almost all exclusive salon only brands, so now I'm talking about the Ginos, the Elemis, the Dermalogicas, etc., they all have skincare boosters, and they have had for years. So I'm really pleased to see that Neal's Yard Remedies are kind of coming into that realm, really being able to hold their own in the marketplace, because it really is so important. As I'm sure you'll appreciate, we are trying to reach a younger demographic. That is very much seen with the young models. You maybe will have seen some of the advertising that's been out there with, advertising these lovely boosters, and you will certainly see more of that over the coming weeks. And you will notice that the models that have been chosen are young. They are very, very young, frankly. Now, that is not an accident. The reason that young models have been selected is because we really do need to reach a younger demographic. We have got a wonderful, very, very loyal customer base, not just us, in our leg, the MYRO leg of Neal's Yard Remedies, the direct selling leg, but also the shops and the web. We're very blessed to have some fantastically loyal customers and clients. But of course, we wouldn't be very savvy if we didn't try to always, reach out to a younger demographic and reach new customers, as of course they get older as well. So I think these skincare boosters are perfectly placed to kind of reach a broad range of customers. They're most certainly going to appeal to our older customers, and obviously I'll come to that later. But I think they do have a real appeal for our younger girls as well. And one of the things I love about them so much, I've got to be honest, is actually the price point. And when I first found out how much they were going to be, the hyaluronic acid, the blue one, as I call it, is only £18. The two others are £20. I was really surprised because honestly, frankly, they could be double that, but they're not. And again, the price pointing is very deliberate because A, we want to encourage people to try these products, you know, especially in the current climate. We don't want the price to put people off. And we also want to attract a younger demographic. And of course, broadly speaking, our younger customers might not have as much disposable income as our older customers. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I just want, before I get sort of into the nitty gritty, I just want to read the company blurb on this. So you will find this in the new mini catalogue. Okay, Boost Skin's Natural Beauty. A collection of multi-purpose, certified organic boosters crafted to meet your ever-evolving skincare needs and deliver proven, naturally beautiful results. Each skincare booster is a potent formula of sustainably sourced, naturally derived active ingredients that work hard to gently target the specific skincare concerns in just a few drops. And then it goes on to sort of list the three of them there. I just wanted to read that out to you because, you know, frankly, why reinvent the wheel? They have sort of explained the range beautifully there. Okay. As we've said, all three are certified organic. As I'm sure you know, the company we use to certify our products is the Soil Association. All three are vegan. Now, again, I'm sure you all know this, but we are not a vegan company. Neal's Yard Remedies is a vegetarian company, but because we do use some honey and some propolis, etc., some beeswax in certain product ranges, the Be Lovely range being an obvious one, Wild Rose Beauty Balm, etc., being others, we cannot call ourselves a vegan company. However, by default, I would say, don't quote me on this, but very roughly 85 to 90% of our products are vegan. Okay, these three are all vegan, which again I think is really, you know, quite key at the moment. Lots of people are asking and wanting vegan products, so that is important to know. Goes without saying, of course, they're cruelty-free. All our products are cruelty-free, of course, and they are clinically proven. Now, again, a lot of you will know what clinically proven means, but for those of you that maybe don't quite know what clinically proven means, it's often a term that's bandied around a lot, isn't it? But we don't always necessarily know exactly what that term really means. Now, to have a product clinically proven, firstly, costs a small fortune, I have to say. It's basically where a company, any company, will send their product off to an independent laboratory, and they are various ones all over the world that we use, in completely neutral packaging. And they are tested to see if they do what the company is claiming that they do. So if we claim a product, you know, will hydrate the skin to X amount, you know, has anti-aging properties, it does this, it does that, it does the other, that independent laboratory will test that product in various different ways to prove that it actually does. Okay, and all these three have obviously passed with flying colours and they are clinically proven. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that with you all. Each of them have an intense and potent formula of just one main ingredient, and that is what sets boosters apart in general. So boosters are just that. They really are there to boost the skin, and generally speaking, they contain one, maybe two main active ingredients. I have been asked a couple of times this week, are they serums? No, they're not serums. No, they're not moisturizers. They are completely different range and category of products that sit alongside and with serums and moisturizers. And I am going to discuss as we go through tonight how best to use them. Okay, but they are not serums. Now, serums contain a blend of several active ingredients, and serums have a very specific use. Serums have a small molecular structure, which means that they penetrate the skin to a basal layer where the elastin and the collagen is produced. Moisturizers, conversely, have a larger molecular structure, and moisturizers are designed to sit on top of the surface of the skin. They physically cannot penetrate too deeply into the skin. They are designed to sit on the surface of the skin. They have a very protective role in the skin, helping the skin kind of be hydrated and looked after from the very surface. So moisturizers and serums, therefore, have completely different roles to play in skincare. And as a therapist, I always say that really, if you're over the age of about 30, you should be using both. Years ago, when I worked in a skincare salon, a big salon spa, a Clarins rep said to me, she said, think of a serum as your underwear, think of a serum as your bra and knickers, and a moisturizer as your jumper and jeans. And that has really stuck with me throughout all these years, because it's true. Underwear, bra and knickers, jumpers and jeans, they're all the same thing, as in they're all clothing, they're all items of clothing, but they do a very different job. They do a very different job. And ultimately, to feel comfortable, to feel supported, to feel warm, you need both. You need your underwear and you need your outerwear. And that's exactly how you should be looking at serums and moisturizers. Okay. Again, don't want to preach to the converted. I know I've got a lot of therapists on here tonight who are probably falling asleep with me saying all this, but obviously for the benefit of everybody, I just kind of wanted to make it crystal clear. Boosters, on the other hand, are completely different. They can be used alone, or they can be mixed with your serum or with your moisturizers to give those products an added ingredient and an added boost, an added wow factor, if you will. Okay. They really are incredibly flexible. A serum, I wouldn't say, is the most flexible product. It has to be used on clean skin, and it goes on first with the moisturizer on top. Not a huge amount of flexibility there, really, would you? I'm sure you'll agree. However, a booster, it can be used alone. They can be used together, mix and matched, these three products. You can have them on the skin at once if you wanted to, or you could mix them with your moisturizer or with your serum. Do you see what I mean? So they're really flexible, and you can really bespoke them to your customer, to your clients, and yourself. They're beautiful in as much that you can use them daily as part of a daily regular skincare routine. And I have to say, since I've got hands on mine, that's what I've been doing. I've been using them daily, and it has made a huge difference to my skin. I'll come to that later. Or you can use them ad hoc. You can just dip in and out, use them when you feel your skin needs a little extra. For example, you might want to use the hyaluronic acid hydrating booster, I don't know, after a long flight, or if you've been spending a lot of time in air conditioning or central heating and your skin has become very, very sort of dehydrated. Maybe you've been out in the sun all day, or out in the elements, walking, and you really do feel like your skin needs a little bit of extra. You might feel that your skin needs, I don't know, a bit more nourishment, at different times in your life, menopausal, for example, or during pregnancy, or you just feel that, changing seasons, you need something richer during the winter months when we do crack on the central heating, if we can afford to, than maybe in the summer months. Then you might be reaching for the rosehip oil, etc. So you can use them ad hoc, as and when you feel you need to, or you can use them daily, and either is absolutely fine. Right, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. They are very easy to use. That's the other great thing about them. They're so easy to use, you almost can't really go wrong. And I will sort of demonstrate later, but you only need 1 or 2 drops of each booster for it to do its job. Literally just a couple of drops, back of the hand, maybe whack it on the face. There's no sort of, special way of applying it or anything like that. Get it on the skin, as Fran would say. Fran Johnson is the Neal's Yard Remedies head formulator. She is the lady that kind of made these products, if you like. And I was lucky enough to be in the room when she launched them to the leaders at the beginning of March. And that's what she said: whack it on the skin, get it on, either use them on their own or mix them, quickly in with another product and get it on. You can't really go wrong in that sense. 1 or 2 drops, as I say, is all you need, really. And the beauty, again, with these products is they very approximately contain about 125 applications per bottle. So if you're only paying 18/20 pounds, you've got 125 applications there, which I think you will agree is fantastic value for money, and again, hopefully will appeal to a younger demographic. Okay, right, let's get into each of them one at a time. I'm just going to have a slurp of water, excuse me. lots and lots of talking. Makes me a dry throat. Okay, so I love all three. I've got to be honest, I am super excited about these. So the first one, the blue one, hyaluronic acid booster. You can see that, okay. Hope you can see that one, okay. So yeah, so the blue one. Ultra and intensely hydrating, basically, is the way I would describe this. Really, really serious hydration. It's £18, so it's the cheaper of the three, 25 millilitres. Now, as I hope that you are all aware, hyaluronic acid is a horrible name. I've got to be honest. It sounds like some horrendous chemical that's been made in a lab somewhere. But actually, hyaluronic acid is a naturally derived ingredient. It is found in plants and it is found in us, in human beings. Our body actually produces hyaluronic acid. And what hyaluronic acid does, essentially, is it lubricates. So it's found in our joints, mainly. It's actually found in our eyes. It is found in our skin. It's sort of found all over our body, and it just helps everything work a little bit more smoothly. As I say, it kind of lubricates, if you like. It helps keeps us flexible. Because it's found naturally within us human beings, the body immediately recognizes it, okay? So when we apply hyaluronic acid to our skin, the body literally goes, because it recognizes it straight away, okay? So it sucks it in. It's like, yeah, you're one of us, brilliant, you know, bring it on. It sucks it in and it's held within the skin. And essentially what it does is it holds water. It's like it's almost like a mini sponge. It holds water. Hyaluronic acid can actually hold 1,000 times its weight in water. And Fran did this fantastic little demo when we were with her at the beginning of March, where she had some hyaluronic acid in a Petri dish. Hyaluronic acid, it actually looks like white powder. I've got to be honest. She pulled it out of her bag, like this little pot of white powder. We were like, oh, okay, Fran, you might want to be careful with that, walking around with that. But she put it in a Petri dish and added some water. And it was actually quite incredible to see. It literally, like the water and the hyaluronic acid were kind of drawn together. You know, it's like almost like a magnet. It was like, and it created like a gloopy kind of substance. But yeah, so that's basically what it does. It gets hold of water and it holds it. It sucks it in immediately. And as I say, it can hold up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. Now, I was talking about molecular structure earlier. Without getting too technical, hyaluronic acid has a very, very small molecular structure. And in layman's terms, as I said earlier, what that means is it can penetrate the skin very, very deeply. Okay, so it will work on the level of skin where your collagen and your elastin, etc., is made. And it really, really seeps quite deep into the dermis. So when you apply it, it almost seems to disappear, but that's because it's been sucked into your skin. Okay, it hasn't just evaporated, it's just been sucked in. The more dehydrated you are, the quicker it will probably be sort of sucked in. Now, it intensely hydrates, as I've said, really, really intensely. You could argue that a lot of our serums, a lot of our moisturizers hydrate, and you'd be right. But this is something quite special. This is a real intense boost of hydration, okay? It helps to plump the skin because obviously when the skin is hydrated, the skin is then plump, the skin cells become plumper and full of water, so the skin looks a lot more hydrated. You'll start to not see the visible dehydration lines that are often quite visible on people, and of course fine lines and wrinkles will be reduced as well, because of course when the skin is lovely and plump and full, you won't be able to see those fine lines and wrinkles so easily. The skin will look healthier because frankly it will be healthier because it's hydrated, and of course the more hydrated something is, the healthier it is, and it will look more vibrant as well. Now, 97% of consumers tested, because we always test our products, of course, in a consumer trial. We don't test on animals, as you know, so we test on willing human volunteers. And of everybody tested, 97% agreed that their skin became a lot more hydrated and looked and felt intensely hydrated pretty instantly, really. Okay, so that's 97% of people tested, which is pretty amazing. It also contains hibiscus. And hibiscus is a beautiful plant, and hibiscus is actually very rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A is lovely for the skin, really, because what it does is it's a bit of an anti-inflammatory, so it will help to sort of calm any redness in the skin, cool it down, tone it down, yeah, just kind of reduce, you know, reduce sensitivities, reduce redness, and the two of them, the hibiscus and hyaluronic acid, work beautifully together. Now, this product is 96.8% organic, and it contains 99.8% natural ingredients. I'll just say that again for those of you taking notes. So that's 96.8% organic ingredients and 99.8% natural ingredients. Now, I am going to be talking a little bit about ingredients tonight, and I just want to sort of clarify, because sometimes people say, oh, I thought Neil's Health Remedies was 100% organic. And yes, you're right. I mean, we are to a certain extent, but you have to understand that when you deem something organic, when you label something organic, that essentially means it's been grown in organic soil, soil that has been harvested and looked after in an organic way, no pesticides, no fertilizers, no use of any chemicals in any way. There are certain ingredients that we use that are not grown in soil, the obvious one being water. And then, of course, we have clay, we have salt, we have seaweed, we have various different ingredients that are not grown. And therefore, although they're 100% natural, they're, you know, untouched by chemicals, we cannot by law call them organic because, of course, they haven't been grown in organic soil. So I hope that kind of clears that up a little bit. So when people say, oh, you know, especially when they pick up things like, I don't know, or seaweed scrub and things like that, you know, or, you know, with something that's got a high content of salt and water or something like that, and they're looking at it saying, oh, there's not a high concentration of organic ingredients in here. And I'm like, well, no, because actually, if you look at the ingredients list, there's a lot of natural ingredients in there, but hardly any of them have been grown in soil. So that's just a bit of a whistle-stop tour there about our ingredients. Obviously, the ingredient list with the boosters is actually very, very small because, of course, they're designed to be. They're designed to just have one main active ingredient in them. They do, of course, contain a few other little, you know, extras. This one has got hibiscus, as I've said, and obviously a few other bits and pieces in there. But the ingredient list is incredibly small with them all. Now, if you are a therapist, you might be wondering how you can incorporate this into your treatments. Now, honestly, I would be here till Christmas if I went through all the different ways that you could incorporate all three of these into your treatments. And of course, as therapists, we all work very individually, not only for ourselves and how we like to work, but also on the individual client that we've got in front of us. But just to give you just a few sort of very broad ideas, this one, I believe, would be really, really lovely, either in the frankincense intense hydrating essence, and actually that's how I've been using it myself, every morning, a couple of drops of this in the frankincense intense hydrating essence, which I've been using since it launched anyway, and I've just whack it all over my face. You could certainly use it in a treatment the same way. Or you could add a drop, maybe just one drop, I'm thinking, into the rejuvenating frankincense mask. We've got that really lovely firming rejuvenating frankincense mask that comes in the tube. I hope you know which one I mean. Now, that is full of hyaluronic acid anyway. And actually, it's a mask that when I use in treatments, you know, you put it on, you leave it for 10, 15 minutes, do a hand massage, whatever. When you go to remove it, there's often nothing to remove, you know, it's like it's been really sucked in by the client's skin. I certainly used to find that a lot, but I think that to give your mask the extra wow factor, an extra hydrating, quenching punch, I think a drop of this in that mask would be really, really lovely as well. Of course, at the end of the facial, depending on your client, a little drop mixed into either the serum or the moisturizer at the end of the facial as well would be really lovely, so that when she leaves you, she's got, you know, extra hyaluronic acid on her skin to sort of walk out and to feel really, really hydrated. So there are various different ways that you could incorporate that. I do think this one in particular is going to be a really, really good seller for us, because let's be honest, who isn't dehydrated? Do you know what I mean? And do remember that dehydrated skin is a condition. Dehydration is a skin condition. It's not a skin type. So most of us have dehydrated skin at some point or another, and it's actually very easy to get dehydrated. It could just be a case that you haven't had enough to drink that day, do you know what I mean, or you've been out in the sun, or you've been sitting in a centrally heated office or whatever. It's incredibly easy to get dehydrated, and actually quite difficult to have completely hydrated skin. So I think that that product is going to appeal to a wide range of people. I really do. Anybody that works in offices, anybody that works near computers, because as I'm sure you know, computers are dreadful for sucking water out of us. Computers to work have to have a certain amount of water, and they will take water out of the nearest living thing, which 9 times out of 10 is a human being. So that is often why you get so dehydrated in offices, and that is why a lot of offices you'll see green plants around, because you know it's needed basically in an office. You need the plants to keep the moisture in the air. But I do think this is going to be a really good one, because as I say, it can be used ad hoc or it could be added to a regular skincare routine, and I think £18 is a really good price point for that. Okay, moving on. This is a lovely one. This is the orange one, as I call it, the vitamin C brightening booster. I think you can see that there, really lush. I will get out the pipettes earlier and show you the different textures of all three. There you go, this, the brightening booster. They are all just so lush, they really are. Oh, £20, that one, 25 millilitres. They're all 25 millilitres. Now, obviously, we know that vitamin C is essential. It is essential for human beings, ideally internally as well as externally. And of course, apart from all the well-documented immunity boosting properties that vitamin C has, it also has many other benefits, including when we're talking about the skin. It really does help us to fight free radicals in the atmosphere. And free radicals, of course, cause skin damage and skin aging. Vitamin C helps to stimulate production of the collagen, which again in turn will, help keep it younger looking and healthier looking. And it promotes an appearance of a luminosity and radiance, which is actually why they've called it the brightening booster, because it really does help to promote that sort of radiant appearance, that lovely radiant complexion. Is very anti-aging, as I've said, but it's really, really lightweight. It absorbs easily, very easily, but it's really lush to use. Like I say, later I'll get them out so you can kind of compare. For those of you that actually haven't got your hands on these yet, I'll pop them on the back of my hand and you can have a little look. But it's a really, really easy one to use and apply. Now, our vitamin C booster contains 2% vitamin C, and you might think to yourself, gosh, only 2%, that's virtually nothing. But actually, too much vitamin C in a product, a skincare product, can cause sensitivities. There are products on the market that contain up to sort of 15-20% vitamin C. All I would say as a therapist is you need to sort of proceed with caution when you're using products like that, because if you're going in and you haven't sort of had vitamin C or whatever on the skin before, that could very easily and very quickly cause sensitivities, and obviously we don't want to do that. So I would say that if you do have a customer or a client who is interested in starting to use vitamin C on the skin, this is a really sort of entry level, I hate to use that term, but like a nice entry level one to try first. A really nice sort of generic vitamin C booster, good for all skin types, good for all ages, and a lovely one to try if you're interested in vitamin C. 82% of consumers tested agreed that their skin was illuminated after use. It contains 90.6 organic ingredients and 99% natural ingredients. And obviously I have just gone through that with you, what that kind of looks like in real terms. As I've said, it absorbs straight away with a lovely smooth texture. And I actually think this is a really lovely one mixed with other products. It can, of course, be used on its own, absolutely, like they all can, but it really is lovely mixed in with other products. And the way I've been describing it just so far with my customers and clients is it's a bit like skin food. Do you know what I mean? It's vitamin C. It really is skin food for skin that might be a little bit dull, might be a little bit lackluster, just needs a little bit extra, a bit of TLC. Do you know what I mean? And it's a really, really lush one for that. Therapists, again, Really lovely to incorporate this as part of a brightening facial, or maybe a radiance boosting facial if you offer that kind of thing. Really lovely mixed in with a facial oil. I'm thinking kind of the orange flower one kind of springs to mind as an obvious one. Doesn't mean it couldn't be used in frankincense or the rose, because it absolutely could, but the orange flower with its beautiful orange kind of aroma really kind of lends itself to a bit of vitamin C anyway, doesn't it? You know, with the color and the smell and the orange vibe. So I just think that having a drop of the vitamin C booster in the orange flower facial oil, that would make a fantastic medium for a facial massage. I mean, how lush would that be if you've got a client that has got drier skin, possibly dehydrated skin, and just needs some real nourishment? And I'm speaking from experience here, not just as a therapist, but as someone that has deeply dry skin. My skin is horrendously dry, and orange flower facial oil is my go-to product. I actually use it every night. I normally put a moisturizer on top because I need to, but actually, since I've got my hands on these gorgeous products, I've either been using the rosehip oil or this mixed in with the orange flower night oil, and oh my word, it is lush. So I do think that mixed in with one of our facial oils would make a really lovely massage medium, and it would give it a little bit of extra slip and a little bit of extra wow factor. If you wanted to add a little bit of brightening oomph, if that's what your client wanted, then of course you could go ahead and add a drop either to the serum or to your moisturizer at the end of the facial as well. So again, when she leaves your treatment room, she's got it on her skin. I also think this is a really nice one, actually, to be added to maybe a hand treatment or even a foot treatment. And actually just a drop of that in some hand cream I've been using at night, and it really does make a difference to the backs of your hands. You know, I'm in my 40s now, and actually having a bit of vitamin C on the backs of my hands each night, it has really sort of made a difference to the appearance of my skin. My favorite go-to hand cream is always the Be Lovely hand cream. I just love the smell, and I think a bit of vitamin C mixed in with that, because of the lovely honey smell and the orange essential oil that's in our Be Lovely range, the vitamin C really lends itself nicely to that, you know, the honey and the orange. And so just one drop in a tiny little bit of the hand cream and rubbed on, literally last thing I do before I go to bed. It's really made a difference to my hands, I have to say. So it would be lovely in a hand or indeed foot treatment as well. So, you know, although these three products were designed with faces in mind, you know, they are facial products, please do feel free to think outside the box. It is absolutely fine to use them if you were doing a back short, for example, or, you know, a different kind of treatment, or, you know, like I say, manicures, pedicures, etc. Do think outside the box. And then moving on to the organic rosehip oil, the red one. Now this one, I have to say, I am personally quite excited about. I love all of them, but this one, I don't know. Do I have a favourite? Shouldn't really have a favourite. It's like having a favourite child. But I don't know. I love this one. Now, some of you hopefully will remember that we used to have a rosehip oil up until very recently. We used to sell organic rosehip oil, and it just came in a very sort of, oh, Holly's holding one up. Do you know what? I'm so pleased you've got one, Holly, because I don't have one anymore. So Holly's holding that up. Now we've sold that for years and years, and it's basically now been completely repositioned. So the rosehip oil now sits in this range. It has also been repackaged. Obviously, you can see the difference between the one that Holly was holding and this one. It's also been reformulated and improved. So, a little bit of backstory on our rose hips. Now we harvest our rose hips from the foothills of the mountains in southern Serbia, and we sort of employ a local group of people. I believe, though don't quote me on this, it's about 100 people that we employ there in Serbia to farm and harvest our organic rose hips. And it obviously, as you can imagine, it creates a lot of jobs in the area. It creates income in the area, etc., which is wonderful. And of course, as I'm sure you know, we fair trade with all our partners, all our pickers, harvesters, farmers, etc. And we're very, very careful about that, and make sure that everybody is treated fairly and gets a good wage for what they do and a good amount of money for their product. It is cold pressed, so once it's been harvested, it is cold pressed, which means that there's no harsh chemicals or anything like that comes into contact with these rose hips at all. So they are kept very, very pure. Rosehip, of course, is very well known to be intensely and deeply, deeply nourishing to the skin, and it contains high levels of fatty acid. And of course, as we know, fatty acids really feed the skin. It's going back to that whole skin food thing, isn't it? Really feeding the skin, really giving it some nourishment. And it enhances natural radiance because, of course, when the skin is nourished and hydrated and happy, you are going to look, more radiant. Your skin is going to look happier, more vibrant, etc. Now, used regularly over time, rosehip can also help to reduce hyperpigmentation. Now, I just want to stress that it's not something that you can use once or twice and think, oh, why are my age spots not being diminished? You would need to use it regularly, daily use over a period of time. I'm not going to give any kind of time frame because everybody is different. Everybody has different levels of pigmentation. But if you've got clients possibly or customers that might have what we call the pregnancy mask, when people after pregnancy get sort of discoloration of the skin, I've seen that several times, age spots, things like that. Rose hips are very well known to actually help with that. They can also help hugely with the elasticity of the skin as well. Our rosehip here now contains vitamin E as well. Now, it didn't used to, so the old product in the old packaging never used to contain vitamin E, but the new one has been added, which is lovely. It's like a little sort of second cheeky ingredient in there. And of course, vitamin E, as we know, is very nurturing, very protecting, very healing, and it just works beautifully with the organic rosehip to really feed and nourish the skin. I've been using this a lot since I've got it, and I've been mixing it either, as I've said, with the orange flower facial oil at night or a little drop in my moisturizer as well. Now, recently, sort of coming out of the winter, central heating's been on, we've had some bitterly cold weather, haven't we, recently? I live in Sussex. I don't know what it's been like where you guys live, but we had snow last week. Literally, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday last week. We woke up to sort of about 4 or 5 inches of snow. It has been bitterly cold here, even for March, and we've had a very cold winter, let's be honest. My skin has really suffered because, of course, I have been whacking up the central heating in the house, and then, leaving the house, my skin is going from one extreme to another. And my already naturally painfully dry skin has literally been flaking off. And even my normal go-to products, my orange flower facial oil and my deeply nourishing products that I use, hasn't always quite cut the mustard. But since I've been using this, and I've only been using it since Saturday, I've noticed a real difference. My skin has not been flaky. It's been a lot smoother, particularly on the forehead where I often get very, very dry patches. It's been a lot smoother, and it hasn't been flaky, itchy or irritated. So it is a fantastic product. Also, a bit of a shout out to my fellow perimenopausal ladies, ladies that are either perimenopausal or in the full-on menopause, that the rosehip oil is a real hero product for you. As we go through the menopause, as I'm sure you'll be aware, collagen and elastin are reduced greatly, really, really hugely. And of course, our bodies don't produce as much estrogen, etc., as they did. We are lacking in essential fatty acids, and it really does need to be put back in. So not only are you going to be wanting to sort of feed your body with a nourishing, good quality supplement, and shout out to the Neal's Yard Remedies supplements because they really are fantastic, fantastic quality and great value for money. That's a whole other training session. But you are going to be wanting to put something topically on your skin because your skin will be screaming out for some essential fatty acids and that nourishment to help, replace what is lost during the menopause. So yeah, little shout out there, because of course a lot of, even if you ladies are not quite at the menopause stage yet, a lot of your customers and clients will be, frankly, they really will be. And often as we get older, that is when we have a little bit more disposable income. So often we do find that Neal's Yard Remedies customers and clients are kind of 40 plus, and these ladies are going to be wanting and looking for these kind of products. Okay, so even if you're like Holly James and 25 and gorgeous, not all your clients will be. Okay. Right, so oh, another little shout out about rosehip oil. I feel like I've got more to say about that one than the others, but it just seems to be a little bit more about it. It's kind of quite well known in the press, rosehip oil. The press does talk about rosehip oil. I see it quite a lot. It was very well documented, for example, that Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, she used rosehip oil in her pregnancies as well to help with stretching and all that. And that was quite well documented. So it's a celebrity favorite, basically. This one contains 100% natural ingredients and 99.6% organic ingredients. So you can't really go wrong with that one. With regards to therapists, again, I would say a drop in some a facial oil. This one I wouldn't say has a massive aroma. It's certainly not an offensive aroma, not at all, but it doesn't have a lush aroma like our frankincense facial oil, for example, or the gorgeous orange flower facial oil. It doesn't have that lovely sort of fragrance to it. So you might want to add a drop of that into the fragrance oil, just like I suggested with the vitamin C, into the facial oil, so that your clients have that lovely experience. They have the aroma, they have the fragrance of the facial oil, but they're getting all the additional benefits of the rosehip oil booster as well. So that's one real way to use it in a facial, and that's probably would be my way that I would use it. If you were using something like, for example, Wild Rose Beauty Balm, either as a massage medium or possibly as a mask, there has been many times where I've used Wild Rose Beauty Balm as a mask, depending, of course, on my client's skin during a facial, then a little drop of either the vitamin C or the rosehip oil wouldn't go amiss either. Now, Wild Rose Beauty Balm does contain high levels of rosehip oil anyway. There's no harm in just adding a tiny little drop extra, maybe with a drop of vitamin C as well, mix and match. And again, always really nice, just one little drop in either the serum or the moisturizer before your client goes home, just so she's got something lovely and nourishing on her skin as you're sending her on her way. Now, sort of covered all three. What I thought I would do just very briefly is just give a few sort of examples of how, your average person would use it in day-to-day life. So I'm now not necessarily talking about how a therapist would use this in a treatment, but just how, your customers, your clients, yourself would use it in day-to-day life. So I'll sort of, start by saying how I've been using it just this week. So I think I mentioned before, every morning I have been mixing a drop or two of the hyaluronic acid into the frankincense hydrating essence. Hydrating essence I was using anyway. Absolutely love that product. My skin needs as much help as it can possibly get, and I'm constantly layering with my skin. My skin always has a serum with a moisturizer on top, and in the winter it has a serum, a drop of facial oil, and then a moisturizer on top, because I really do need it, as I've said. And since using a couple of drops of that mixed with the hyaluronic acid mixed with the hydrating essence, I haven't needed to use a facial oil as well in the morning. I've just gone from that. I've allowed it to just sort of soak in a wee bit, and then I've just gone and put my moisturizer on as normal. So that's been really lovely. And I have noticed that throughout the whole day, even if I've had the central heating on, my skin hasn't got all dry and flaky like it often does. It hasn't got red, itchy, irritable like it sometimes can do. So that's a real win for me, a real win actually. So I'm using that every single morning, and literally adding a couple of drops to that, so the hydrating essence really makes it go a long way. It goes a lot further. Just one or two drops makes the whole product go a lot further. So I'm sort of slathering it all over my neck and on my décolletage and everything, which of course is fantastic. Really does help that essence go a lot further. And of course the hydrating essence isn't a cheap product, it's 40 odd pounds. So just adding a couple of drops of this 18-pound product, 125 applications per bottle, helps my more expensive product go a lot further. So that's another sort of win and another kind of little tip to tell your customers. So I've been doing that every morning. It's recommended that you allow the product just to dry, just to kind of soak into your skin for a moment or two before you apply your next product. So I just allow that to dry onto the skin. I might just quickly clean my teeth or put my deodorant on or something like that. And then I put my moisturizer on and then my makeup, etc. In the evenings, what I've been doing is obviously on clean skin, of course, once I've cleansed, etc. I then have used either the vitamin C, but more often than not, the rosehip oil, just a couple of drops mixed in with my orange flower facial oil, and I've popped that all over my face. I have been popping a moisturizer on top, just whatever I've got handy. I've been using a frankincense hydrating cream, I think, this week, but I've got loads of lotions and potions upstairs. I have been using that on top, but actually I think as we get into the summer months, I might not even need to do that, which is really saying something for me. I might just get away with a drop or so of the rosehip oil into a drop or two of my facial oil, and that might literally be me done overnight, which really is quite incredible. Obviously, if you've got customers and clients that are not quite so painfully dry as I am, that might be all they need. Or it might be that they just need to use it occasionally. You know, maybe at certain times of the month, their skin might feel like it's lacking in something. It's a bit dull, it's a bit dehydrated. They just need a little booster. Then by all means, they only need to use it then. Or, you know, you might have people that travel a lot or whatever the case may be. They can dip in and out of them. They don't necessarily need to be using them every day if they don't want to. I think now I'm getting into a bit of a groove. Obviously, as I sit here today, it is only Thursday, and I only got my hands on these on Saturday. So it's still early days, but I think if I get into a groove with them, what I've decided to do is use the hyaluronic acid in the morning, as I've said, mixed with the essence, the rosehip oil in the evening, mixed with my facial oil or possibly just a moisturizer. And I'm going to use the vitamin C more ad hoc when I feel like I need an added boost. Maybe my skin just needs a bit of a treat, or I'm going somewhere and I want to give it a little bit of an extra glow, a bit of a luminosity, a bit of a brightening boost. And I'm also going to be using it in my hand creams. I've actually, I've got it by the side of my bed just to mix with my hand cream. So I think I'm going to use the vitamin C more in that capacity rather than on my skin as a daily product. But that's just me. And the reason I wanted to tell you how I've been using them is just to kind of give you ideas. But as I said right at the beginning of this training, they are incredibly bespoke. They're completely flexible. All three can be used individually or mixed into products, serums and moisturizers, etc. You kind of need to play around with what works best for you, and your clients will need to do the same. Lynn Williamot, she did share actually with the leaders that she originally was trying the hyaluronic acid booster on its own, and she didn't really like the way it felt on her skin. No major problems or anything, but she just didn't really like particularly the way it felt on her skin. I think she was saying that her skin, bless her, was quite dehydrated and it was kind of sucking it in, but she didn't maybe like the texture. But as soon as she mixed it with, I believe it actually was the essence, the hydrating essence, game changer, absolute game changer. And now she uses it all the time. For her, it was much better to mix that particular product with another product for best results. But again, everybody is different. Everybody has different skincare issues, different skincare needs. So you will need to kind of have a play, I think. If you are a therapist, I've got to be honest, I would highly recommend you invest in all three. There is a current offer on where you can buy all three until the end of March 2023 and get £10 off the trio. I would highly recommend you do that, just as a little FYI, because I have been asked this question. People have been saying, is that £10 in addition to our normal 25% discount? And of course, yes, we always get our 25% consultant discount on everything. And this is an additional £10 on top. So highly recommend that you invest in all three, particularly if you are a therapist. If you are a consultant and you are out doing showcases, workshops, you're out networking, seeing customers and clients, you might be out at various different events, you will also want to have all three in your collection, because of course you don't know who you're going to meet. You're going to want to kind of, get them on people. If you're more of a personal shopper, as I call them, a friends and family shopper, it might be that you kind of buy one at a time just to kind of try them depending on your own skin needs. And that is absolutely fine. But don't forget that £10 off the trio offer will end on the 31st of March. Okay. We also have a customer offer, which also ends on the 31st of March. And that is if a customer was to buy all three, he or she will save £5. Okay, so £5 off the trio. All right. I think that is it. I think I've actually covered it. What I will do now is just show you the texture and colour of each of them, and then I'll switch the recording off, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to sort of either pop them into chat or yell at me. I'll do them in order that I spoke about them. So if I do the hyaluronic acid one first, okay. Now it's got quite a gloopy texture. It's probably sort of the hardest one to just get out of the bottle, as it were. I hope you can see this all right. My camera's not brilliant. I've got a very bright light above me, but there we go. I hope you can kind of see that. So it's quite a sort of a, when I say gloopy, that doesn't sound very nice. It actually rubs in nicely. It really does rub in nicely. And I hope you can see, I know the light's not great. A little goes a very, very long way. I mean, I'm now sort of taking it all around my fingers and, you know, down over my wrists. A little does go a long way. That was just one drop. And I think hopefully you'll be able to see, just what great value that is. £18 a bottle and 120 odd applications, really, really good. Now that has pretty much now soaked in. Yeah, you can really see the difference already in the back of my hand there. Just make sure the lids are on. The last thing I want is a spillage. Second one is the vitamin C brightening booster there. Now this one is got a slightly what I would describe as a looser texture, slightly looser texture. There we go. So I hope you can see. If I just drop that on the hand. There we go. And again, soaks in really nicely. Just a little FYI, actually. If you are wanting to use all three of them at once, or say two of them on the skin at once, either in a facial or on your own skin, always make sure that you have either the hyaluronic acid or the vitamin C boost on first. These are water-based boosters, so therefore, being water-based, they need to be on the skin first so that they can penetrate and do the job they're designed to do. And then the oil, being an oil and much thicker and heavier, needs to go on last. Oils always go on last, okay? And the same applies with serums and facial oils. If you have a very dry client, someone like me, someone that wants to use or needs to use a serum and a facial oil, as well as possibly a moisturizer as well, put the serum on first and then the facial oil, okay? Because facial oils are obviously thicker in consistency, and you want the serum to do its job first before the facial oil goes on, and then the moisturizer will obviously sit on top. Okay, so lastly, we've got the Rosehip, the organic Rosehip oil. Now look at this one. This is lush. Look at that colour. Wowza. I'm running out of skin here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a drop on my forearm. I hope you can kind of see. Whoops, can you see that? It's quite a loose sort of oil. Blends in beautifully. It's quite a runny kind of oil, I'd say. It's not too thick, not too gloopy. But it blends in really beautifully. And again, you only need one drop, and particularly mixed with another product, the slip it gives is incredible. You will need to have a play around, figure out, how you want to use them, as I've said, and what works best for you. Therapists especially, you might want to have a little play before you start getting them on products, for no other reason that you're just going to want to feel confident using them. And you might think, oh, actually, that one's really lovely with that facial oil, or actually I think I might use that one with that mask, or do you know what I mean? So you kind of, you know, have had a bit of a play, and you felt them and felt the texture, and you know, and how they work and how they pipette up and all those kind of things before you get a client on the bed. But I would highly recommend, particularly to therapists, that you do start using these as soon as you can, because honestly, it is going to take your facials to the next level. Now, as I said at the beginning of the training, other high-end skincare brands, your Dermalogicas, your Ginos, etc., have got similar products. Now, ours are lovely because we can genuinely boast that ours are certified organic, and a lot of the other skincare brands can't say the same. So ours are certified organic by the Soil Association, which is lovely. And it does, in my opinion, set them slightly apart. But all other skincare brands do have boosters. So obviously, you know, we need to kind of keep our head in the game. We need to be competitive. So as therapists, we really do need to get hold of these and to start using them as part of your facial routine. It might even be that you ask her, you know, your client, which one does she fancy trying? Which one would she like mixed in with her serum at the end of a facial for an added boost? You know what I mean? As a treat, as a special treat. And then, of course, you could always then, you know, retail it to her afterwards. Just give her a couple of key bits of information about the one that she likes best and leave it with her. We, of course, do have our little pots, don't we? Our little logoed pots that you can buy in business tools. I believe it's £1 for a pack, something like that. You could, you know, pipette a tiny amount into one of those and send a client on the way so she can use it again that night. So she's kind of used it in, you know, on your treatment bed, and then she's using it again herself to feel the consistency and how it goes on. You could always do that. We don't have samples of this product at the moment. Sampling is obviously a whole other conversation, but we don't have samples per se of this product. So the whole idea is that you get the product on your customers, on your clients ASAP. She can always go home with a tiny one, you know, tiny little pot or something to try it. And then you've got, you know, lots and lots of ideas. Hopefully you've written down a lot of tips and information that you can pass on to your clients, to your customers, and hopefully make a sale that way. And of course, if she wants to buy all three, if she does so before the end of March, she will be making a £5 saving as well. Right, I'm now going to return off the recording.